Hey, what's up? So we're in Unreal Engine 5 and we have a fresh MetaHuman here. So we're going to check out some of the new animation features here. And to start off, we're going to make a new sequence. I'm going to put that in my misspelled sequences folder here and just CR pose hands 1. Boom, there it is. So we're going to select our MetaHuman and we're going to add the blueprint in. And it's going to spawn the control rig as well. And I guess we'll just leave this over here for now. And what we're going to check out are some of these new things that are up here. So we have select, which is what we've always had from Unreal Engine 4. But now we have poses. So I'm just going to dock it up here. This thing is great and saves quite a bit of time. And specifically, it's going to save time when you're animating the face and or cleaning up facial mocap. And it's going to save time on the hands because the hands have as many bones as like almost the entire body. Let's go to the control rig. What I'm going to do is select painfully, but you only have to do this once now. I'm going to select every single hand controller, just holding shift and selecting each finger. And so this is what you're trying to avoid doing long term, is having to go through and select all these. Luckily in Unreal Engine 5, however, the selection process is a lot faster in that the UI is just a lot faster. Compared to 4, there's always like a little bit of a delay when you're selecting controls. And if you use the selector widget that sometimes I'll use over here, there's a button that selects all the hand controls, and that takes like, I don't know, 15 seconds for my computer to catch up to that. But in 5, it's pretty quick. So we've selected all the hand poses. And what I would probably start by doing is just saving it. This is the neutral hand pose, so if you ever want to really quickly reset the hand, there's no functionality for that down here. It has to be done using this new control rig pose manager. So we're going to click on create pose, and I'm going to call it MetaHuman. I do really want to call out that it's like a male, tall, normal. I don't really have a way of doing that yet without it being too long, but I'll say like MTN. So that's male, tall, normal. That's the skeleton, the child skeleton of this MetaHuman. And you'll see that it doesn't matter which hand you say it is, but I'm just going to say hand neutral 01. Right? And you'll see that we can actually put this, because they're mirrored in this case, I can put this pose on the other hand. So you actually don't have to say which hand it is, which I started doing in the beginning. And we're going to create. And so I've already made this a little bit smaller, but I'll make it bigger for the tutorial. So what's really nice is that it gives a little thumbnail already here of what this is. And I'm going to right click and do save. So we have now saved this pose right there. And with all of these selected down here in sequencer, I'm going to hit enter. And so we just put a keyframe on all of the right hand finger controls, not the right hand itself, but the fingers right there. So if I was to deselect them now, and again, we're doing like FK, so I guess I would come up here and just move the arm a little bit. Is this going to get keyed? Yeah, I guess we're keying this right now, but just kind of putting the hand up using FK, which is viable for certain types of cleanup for sure. I don't have the trackball, the arc ball set up here. But say this was the hand pose we liked, and it's like, okay, I want to go control the fingers again. What we can do is actually do select controls, and it's going to select all those controls again for us. So this works as a selection set, and it will also then, you can put the keys on there again, and you can do it to the other hand, I believe. And then there's other stuff here that I haven't even really sorted through all the functionality. But it looks like there's some mirror settings and whatnot. And I think that probably has more to do with the body than the fingers themselves, though I haven't tested it. So let's go to frame 30 here, and we could just hit enter again, but I'm going to hit paste pose. And that didn't work, so I have to hit key and then paste pose. There it is. Okay, so now we have keyed all these fingers again in the neutral pose. But let's do the next thing here. I don't know if you have to do them separately, but I'm going to. I'm going to select let's select just the fingers. Now, unfortunately, I don't think I can hit Control or Shift and deselect these, so that's unfortunate. But I'm going to try to deselect. Actually, I can't even like deselect at the moment. Where's it going on? we're going to select just the metacarpals and the fingers one by one. But again, once I make this selection set, it's basically everything but the thumb. We will save this, and you'll see this is what's needed for... I'm going to do a flexed hand, and I'm going to do a fist pose, and then save them. So with these all selected, you want to go into rotate, which is what, I don't even know anymore, it's E, it's this one. And you want to make sure that you're in, what are they calling this? Object space, which is control tilde. So that's world space, and you want to be in object space, definitely. And something that's cool about the fingers, as I'm actually going to move to 45 here, is that they can all be flexed at once, like that. And so you're going to have to do like cleanup afterwards to each finger. It's not going to be like perfect, and of course you can go too far. But if you want to like bring them out to like T-pose, which is like usually pretty flat fingers, you can go to something like this. Like this here. And so with these all out, you see how splayed the hand is and whatnot. Say you want to save this. I'm going to actually, in this case, I'm going to do the same thing to the thumb. And then I'm going to save that as a pose. So again, we're in object mode here. Somewhere, there it is, object mode. And you want to go on the Z-axis here, the blue one. And then you can splay this hand out. And I think this one's a little bit too far. Right, so the arrows are kind of all pointing up, but like this is like a splayed T-pose kind of hand. And for Rococo and different motion capture retargeting skeletons, you're going to need to come into each, do this kind of stuff and retarget the, or not retarget, you're going to need to like kind of straighten out the fingers, and you might even splay them together, which is like rotating these and these at the same time. But anyway, what I can do now is reselect all of them by doing select controls, which will do that. And then I can create a pose and save this. So this is MetaHuman, male, tall, normal, hand, neutral 1. I'm going to call this extend 1, like that. Create pose, and now I have this one. I'm going to save it immediately. If you don't save it and you crash, because 5 is still a little bit new, you lose these completely. So you want to save a lot if you're using Unreal Engine 5. It's very temperamental still for these control rig type things for me. So I'm going to actually, on this key, going to do paste pose, and that's the neutral hand. Is it? Is that really the neutral hand? I feel like, hold up. Let me select the controls and do it again. Paste pose. There we go. There's the neutral hand. Okay, so I had to have them selected, so I'm still kind of, working my way through this. And so we're going to go from here. So let's start with just the fingers again. Sorry to show this process kind of over and over again, but maybe this is still helpful. Again, in 5, selection is so much faster. This is really not as bad as in 4, which is funny because that's where I need it the most, is in 4 is the pose library. Anyway, closing this down to like, I don't know, like around 60, it seems like. Maybe around here. We'll kind of figure it out. I'll have a look at the metacarpals now. And oops, I grabbed the wrist. Unfortunately, you can't shift or you can't deselect once you select, unless I'm doing it, unless I don't understand this. But so there we go. We got the metacarpals, and so that's a pretty straight one. I think they're like a little bit more like that, something like this. And then the wrist kind of counter animates. It's up to you, of course, but this is what I've been doing. Let's hopefully be able to get to this pose, the basic part, before it crashes. So we're going to grab all of these together, all the thumbs, and rotate again locally, object mode on Z. And you don't really change this one that much, this middle carpal, or this middle thumb finger, but bone rather, but you know, you can kind of get away with this. Right, that gets it pretty natural. And then I would grab just this backbone, and you can kind of like rotate it like this, and then up. I should turn on arc ball. But very roughly, you're getting the thumb against the fingers. And there's a lot more work that the fingers could do, actually, just like kind of get them perfectly tightened up and balled up. But let's just call that a good fist for now. It's like a blocking fist, I would say. Right, just blocking it in. It's not perfect. But I'm going to select all the controls, which should grab all of them. And before we crash, I'm going to create pose. Oh, I lost my naming. Oh, well. MetaHuman, male, tall, normal, hand, fist 1, right? Because we might make like a ton of these different ones. But create asset, and if I save it, Okay, we're safe now, even if we crash. So we now have these hand poses here. And if I go through my animations, like we'll turn off the manipulators in the animation menu, you'll see that the hand goes from, I think we have some animation on the wrist, unfortunately, but we're going to go from neutral with the wrist turning to the hand splayed open. This is like kind of your T-pose almost hand into a fist, right? And just let the keyframing interpolation system do what it does. So we have some like real basic hand animation here. And really, I think that like the majority of your hand animation, where if you're not like doing anything like very active with your hands, is basically just keyframing between a couple neutral poses, right? So I'm gonna, to make this tutorial very long, I'm gonna go for one more neutral pose. So I'm gonna go to this frame and I'm gonna go to my neutral here, paste pose, select controls. I'm gonna paste them again just to make sure. So they're keying. Oh, it's not keying. I don't know if that matters or not. Paste does that. Select controls, paste pose. There we go. So there's, I don't know what the red keys and the gray ones, the difference are actually. We could go in the curves editor and probably check that out. But I'm gonna make one more natural-ish hand pose. I don't know what you call this. It's kind of, I always think of it as like kind of the like the Leonardo hand pose, kind of like the painters like use a lot. And it's basically like, well, I'll show you. I don't want to save this. And again, the point would be that you can then have all these and you never really have to do them again too much. So the first finger is going to be, that one looks pretty extended already actually, but the first finger is like pretty extended, like it's almost pointing, but not like quite. And then all the fingers just kind of do that, but a little bit less every time. So I'll kind of show you what I mean. If you go get like, you know, a Renaissance painting, they kind of do this hand a lot. I forget where I learned it. I've taken my fair share of art classes, but I don't remember. Oops, I don't remember exactly where I learned this hand pose from. And so if you don't have this hand pose library, this thing, or rather this one, if you don't have this, you're kind of doing this every single time. You could also technically like copy and paste these keys between timelines, but it takes a long time to open up a timeline, a different sequence. So this is much, much better. This is like how all the professional mocap animators I've seen do hand cleanup too in Maya or Motion Builder. You're not gonna key the hands every single time. You want to kind of get some poses that you like, have a big library, have like, even if it's just getting you halfway there to having like, this is like a normal gun pose, and then this is a two-handed shotgun pose, just to have that roughly there, just rough it in, and then you just kind of fix it a little bit. That's going to help an awful lot. So this is kind of that pose, and time to get into like the variables here. We are very clean and only being on one, but I'm going to kind of point this one down. Right now we're starting to be on the pitch, right? And so definitely more can be done. I tend to leave this finger fairly straight. It's not necessarily a full tutorial, like meant to be a tutorial on like getting the MetaHuman hands to look good, but it's part of that idea. And the thumb, I would say, again, like a pretty safe way to approach the thumb and keeping it natural is to select all of them, be in object mode, and just kind of come down just a little bit. And then maybe just this last one kind of comes in, something like this. And just look at your hand and look at the meta hand, and maybe it's actually like a little bit like that. And so like that's kind of like that painterly pose that you see in like classical like Renaissance painting. I always think about this hand when I'm trying to draw hands, and it's actually hard to draw. It's harder to draw than to pose the MetaHumans to do it by a lot. So here's our last pose. It's a good neutral pose too for like video games. If you're a game developer and you just want to have like your hands and like, not the full A pose, but just a little bit of expression. I think this one's kind of a good one to do. And I'm going to bend this just a little bit. You can tweak it forever, but let's select all the controls again, and we're going to create the pose before we lose it and crash. This is another neutral, I would say. I'm going to call it O2 and create, and then I'm going to go to smaller thumbnail size and then save it. So now we've actually saved it. So I'll turn off the controls here, or the manipulators. And I don't love it, but I guess it depends on like what angle you're looking at it from. Just kind of close these up as we wrap this up here. Yeah, we have some keys on. We have some keys on the hand, basically right here. I could delete them, I suppose, but whatever. We'll just leave them. So here's our work so far. We have our neutral hand. It just looks weird with the arm pose. Comes up like this. Extends, which looks nice, into an okay fist. You know, we made it in like 2 seconds. Into my Renaissance Michelangelo hand here. And we could just keep approaching animation this way if we wanted to. And like, let's say that like it goes like he's talking and he goes back into a fist pose, and we can just do paste pose. I guess we have to select the controls. Maybe we should turn the controls back on. I'm still figuring out like, you know, like what the best is for this. Paste pose. Yeah, there we go. So, you know, we're just the hand animation more or less until, you know, you come across something more complicated, just becomes making your pose library and then dropping these keys down. And same thing with hand cleanup, you know, unless you're playing the piano or doing something really complicated or interacting with a prop, or even if you are interacting with a prop, would kind of go through and clean up. You could almost, in a way, delete all the hand data and just kind of, but you just have reference of like, you know, where it was in a fist. But the likelihood of your fist coming from like raw hand mocap being exactly right and having gone through this amount of tweaking is kind of low, depending on the hand mocap system you're using. So this is a way to kind of go through and be like, oh, that's supposed to be a fist, and even though your mocap data didn't maybe get a perfect fist, you just make it a perfect fist here, and you're just gonna have your big old library of these. So I'm gonna save and save. I mean, the system's relatively new for sure, but if you go to, oh, I guess I have to be in here. If you control space, the stuff is being saved in control rig poses. So they're just these new pose. What are the control rig pose assets? I believe that's new to 5. And if you actually open them, I believe it's just, oh, this is not that many. I think it's just a list of, like, this is a big struct, or, you know, it's a big struct essentially. But it's like, what was the, you know, what was the controller? What type of, you know, transform? This is another enumerator, right, of the different transforms you can have at the different controllers, right? This is like a 3-axis one, like a regular ass transform. I guess it has the parent name and space, and then you basically get in here and you'll see that it's basically saving the rotations. I don't know about the location though, but anyway, there's probably some space switching and stuff that's happening, but really I'm assuming it's the location. That's the parent transform. Okay, here's the local transform, right? So like on your middle finger, it's just, you know, Z. Yeah, it's just a Z rotation. And wow, I don't know about these other ones, but this is more complicated into the control rig and stuff like that. But that's all it's basically doing is saving that for you in a way that's going to be reconstructible for the control rig you were using. So if you ever wanted to, and I think someone should be doing this, and I don't know who. I'm not planning on doing this at all. But these control rig poses, someone should make these like a really good set and put them on the marketplace or whatever, or make them open source. So most of us don't have to do this, right? So like I'm gonna go through it and do like, you know, a gun pose and just all the different hand poses that I come across. I get to save them all and just recall them as I want. And the real value is then when we go to the face is to do that and make Viseme. So you could be like, this is the Viseme for O, and this is the Viseme for happy, and it grabs all the right controls for you, and you just copy and paste them onto the rig as you need to, and, you know, lip sync it together, and it would be quite easy. So that's going to be one of the next things I try to live stream. I don't have all the Visemes made. I don't have the face as, you know, I don't understand the face as much as I understand the hand. Like the hand, there's not that much to get done. But the face, there's a lot. So I still need to R&D of the face a little bit, but that's how you use the new control rig pose to make your life much easier for cleanup. I'm doing cleanup in 4 right now, Unreal Engine 4, and it is, without this pose library, it kind of sucks now that I've seen this, but it's way more stable, whereas you saw even here, just kind of moving some thumb controls around, maybe with this open or something like that, it can get a little crashy, and, you know, if I'm not saving constantly, I can lose, you know, like a half an hour of work. I should really just be saving more frequently, but as Unreal Engine 5 stabilizes a little bit more, this pose rig library is everything. And of course, you can then start saving your like two-handed gun poses, one-handed gun pose, sitting, jumping, and animation becomes, you know, just a little bit easier by having these as selection sets and having them as pose libraries, so that you don't have to make a fist every single time. Make one really good one, and you'll probably use that for like 100% of your punching animations. I'd imagine. I doubt you're going to iterate that hard on the fist after you get a good looking one. At least I wouldn't. So that wraps it up for this very long tutorial. It's not a snappy one, just kind of like a try to share something that I've learned and really appreciate about Unreal Engine 5. Unreal Engine 5 still currently a little bit crashy, but way faster to select this. This is a much more fluid process in 5. And this pose library, control rig pose, asset library, and all these little commands and stuff, I was going to write this in 4, so I'm really glad I didn't put any time into that, is incredible. Unreal Engine 5 is really awesome with MetaHumans, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.